Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we have round 6 of the PRA Elite Series here at Brands Hatch. Gonna show you some qualifying time, which I normally don't, so that means it was a pretty decent qualifying session on my behalf. Looking at the times, it was a very close qualifying session. Gonna take you through our fastest qualifying lap and hopefully able to maybe be on pole. In practice, right before this session, I was in a group or in a lobby with a group of the guys, and me and JSMR Turismo were neck and neck. So with him being one of the fastest players in this series, I definitely knew that I was possibly looking for a pole position, at least a top 3 start into this race. But we're just going to instantly hop in to our fastest lap of qualifying and hope for the best. I mean, I put in a lot of time off screen throughout the week to prepare for this, and it definitely paid off in my favor. So on that note, let's go ahead and slide right into our fastest lap. We're going to jump about halfway through this qualifying session. As you see, my personal best is a 29.7, make that a 29.6, and I will say on this lap, I was driving to the maximum. This car was on rails, and I could just push it to the absolute maximum. And actually, as we come through the end of the first sector, we are going to be up 2/10 on our previous time. And as we actually come through this corner, our teammate Schwartz is going to be 2/10 faster than us. So as of right now, it's a pretty decent outcome for the D-Boy Racing team, but as you can see, we are still 2/10 up on our previous time. And through this middle sector, you can lose a lot of time, but you can gain a lot of time as well. And if you hit the corners just right, as you can see, we are 1/10 up on Schwartz's time, so that is 3/10 up on our previous best. Coming through this corner, don't want to overshoot, don't want to get any track limits penalties and ruin the lap, as well as this fast right-hander coming up. Kind of missed the apex just a little bit, could have taken a little bit more curve, but we are using all the tarmac on the left-hand side. And as we come through another sector zone, we are 3/10 up again on our time. And hopefully we can keep this together as we brake and let the car roll through on the power as soon as we dare, right up to the edge of the track, using every square inch of this track. And as we come across the line, it's going to be an improvement by 1.5 tenths on Schwartz's time. And I will gladly say, with that lap in the books, I am on pole in a PRA Elite Series race. I will gladly take that. When I found out I was on pole, I was over the moon. I mean, I was so happy with this result so far. That's the best place you could start in a race weekend. And I mean, hats off to Turismo. As you can see, the times were so close between me and himself. And I mean, even Schwartz, our teammate, was there in third, about 2/10 behind us. But me and Turismo were just on another level. I mean, even Hoodcat, he is leading the championship, he's about 3/10 off from us. So what an amazing qualifying time for us. And as you can see in the background, actually we did go for one more lap, and we actually went purple in one of the sectors, so we had a little bit more time on the board. But as we come through the final corner, we are actually going to make a mistake and lose that time. But as of right now, it was just enough to get pole position, and man, did that feel good. And as soon as I got that pole position, I was hyped, and I'm like, I got this race in the bag. But I got a little too ahead of myself. I'm like, I just need to relax. It's qualifying. I need to focus on the main race. And speaking of which, guys, let's go ahead and head into the main race, the first race that we will lead off on the pace lap in pole position. Let's get into it. With our first pole position in the books, we're going to hop on to our first flying lap of the race weekend, starting on pole, and we're actually going to hop onto Frylock's point of view. As you can see, we are green here at Brands Hatch. Get a pretty good getaway from Turismo as well as our teammate Schwartz, and there's some contact behind us in front. We get away pretty nice and easy all the way up into first place, and no cause or no moves done there, and there's going to be a big push from behind, and that's going to throw Frylock around and cause a bunch of carnage behind him as well, and that is going to be a full race restart here on the first lap of the Brands Hatch as we look at Hoodcat's point of view. And it's pretty tricky around this track, especially heading into turn 2 and having to brake so as late as you dare, but yet not make super big contact. And it looks like pushing Frylock into Sanders, and then Sanders gets spun by Gypsy, and then it's just a chain reaction. So that is our first full restart of the race weekend. And I will say this real quick, there was multiple race restarts. And I will say that first time I was very, very nervous on trying to get a good start. So as we come around to start our first official lap of this race, we are going 55 miles per hour, looking for another good start, and hopefully we can get through at least 1 or 2 laps before there's even a caution. But we will see when that time comes. As you can hear that, green, and we are underway back at Brands Hatch as we head into turn 1, leading the pack yet again. It looks like it's too wide behind us, just taking it nice and easy, don't want to overcook it into the first corner and spot our braking point, and then we are still in the lead after the first 2 corners. And at this point, I was very, very nervous. I was really hoping to have a good race, and hopefully the strategy was going to work in our favor, but unfortunately the strategy is going to kind of go out the window as the race goes on. But as we're about halfway through our first official lap here at Brands Hatch, we have about a second lead over our teammate Schwartz. He was able to get past Trismo, so it is a 1-2 for D-Board Racing as of right now. Hopefully we can keep this momentum up and hopefully bring home a good result. At this point, I'm looking for a win. After that first restart, I was really feeling it. Even though I was nervous, I was really getting into the groove of things, and I was wanting this win. This win was, it was so tempted, and I was so ready to have my first win in the PRA series. But time will tell if we are actually able to get that first win, since we are still very early on in the stages of this race. So our first official flying lap under green is coming to a finish, I should say, and we have about an 8/10 lead to our teammate Schwartz, and actually not getting any good run through that last corner. But as you can see behind, there's going to be another caution on a lap 4 as we are about the same gap to Schwartz. So we're going to have a look on Sparky's POV of the accident. It looks like he's going to carry just a little too much speed, get on the AstroTurf, and lose the rear end. Very easy to do, and big hit right there from Root, and that is going to cause a chain reaction, and that is our first caution of the race weekend. Another point of view of Sparky's accident. Like I say, he just loses the rear end. Very, very easy to do on that curb, and boom, that big hit from Root. And that's going to cause a chain reaction. Actually, look in the background, Frylock ends up doing the exact same thing, but not making any contact with anyone else. So that is going to bring out the caution. And on lap 5, we have some people coming into the pits. I was thinking about coming in, but in my opinion, it was way too early. I would rather feel safe and wait until later on into the race and see what we can do. But on to lap 6, we are going double file for another race restart, and hopefully we can have a good race restart just like the second one we did. Honestly, the first 2, but with that, we are back underway here at green as Schwartz gets a pretty decent push on the outside. We leave him room, just a little slight contact, and it looks like he's going to run just a little bit wide, but we are able to hit into first place, if I can speak correctly. And as we come through turn 2, we are still have the lead, and it looks like there's going to be some contact from behind, and there's going to be another race restart, a full race restart, as we hop onto Sparky's POV. And honestly, it's very easy to do in the heat of the moment, but as he gets hit from Boogity on the inside, he just completely forgets to brake and goes pinballing into everyone. And that, I will say, that was Sparky's fault, and he did apologize, but that was just a easy mistake to do. Focus on the cars in front and just miss your braking point. But as a full race restart, the third of the race weekend, as we come on to lap 7, no one came into the pits, so we are still up into P1. Hopefully we can get another good race restart. And this was very good practice for myself because I was getting used to getting those decent race restarts. As we have our teammate Schwartz on our outside, we're going to give him room into turn 1, and hopefully we are able to make it at 1-2 for D-Boy Racing, get a pretty decent push from behind. So we're going to cover off Schwartz, and Schwartz goes a little not really defensive, but a little cautious, and he comes onto the gravel, and that's going to cause a huge accident from behind, and that's going to be another race restart. As you could hear from my just frustration, because I was ready to get this race underway and I was ready to have the strategy come into effect. But as you can see from Schwartz, just goes a little bit cautious, a little contact right there from Turismo, and he gets into the gravel. As he tries to rejoin, he's going to end up spinning out, and it's going to cause a humongous accident. No real fault there, it's just Schwartz went wide, and yeah. But as we come on to lap 8/9, we're actually going to start a full race restart, single file. That way we can actually get this race underway. So technically, the race really didn't start until lap 9 out of 30, which pretty much threw the strategy out the window. And from here on, it was just a guessing game on what I wanted to do on the strategy, as we get a pretty decent launch from the line. And as you can see from the gap, we are about 7/10 from Schwartz already through turn 2, as we do have the fastest lap of the race so far. But it looks like everything from behind is coming out clean and nice and easy. As we come through the beginning of the middle sector, we're about 7/10 up on Schwartz. So from this point on, I was wanting to manage this race, and on strategy terms, I decided to go with a one stop. I decided to go with the fuel saving option and, stick on the same set of tires. As we look behind, Schwartz actually closed the gap, but it looks like there's going to be some contact with Turismo, and actually Schwartz and Turismo are off, and that's going to give us a humongous lead here on lap 10. Another replay of Schwartz offing. It looks like he's just going to overcook it ever so slightly, get on the grass, and try to rejoin nice and easy, but it's kind of an awkward corner, and it's going to be a major contact with Turismo. Turismo really didn't have anywhere to go, as Sparky ends up coming up into a P2 on lap 10. And luckily there wasn't a caution at this point, but as you can see, we're going to have about almost a 5-second gap to Sparky behind. And at this point, I was mainly focused on just doing multiple laps within the same time, and just managing the fuel and managing the tires, trying to hold on to the tires as long as possible. But as we are about halfway through lap 13, I am still within the lead, still about 3 to 4 seconds from the guys behind, and I am going to make my one and only mistake of this race, have a 0.5 second penalty, went over the curbs just a little too much. And as you can see, I was all throughout practice, whenever I did that, I would serve the penalty on this very lap. And as you can see, coming to the penalty line, I ended up downshifting because I thought I was going to be serving that penalty. But I guess it's going to be at the very next lap. As you can see, I come over the line and actually put in one of the fastest laps for myself on this lap without the penalty, trying to extend the gap to the guys behind. As you see, Hoodcat and Turismo actually were able to get through that traffic pretty nice and easily. But as we come on to lap 15, we are still going to be about 2.5 seconds ahead of Hoodcat, and at this point, it's just lap after lap after lap after lap after lap of just being consistent and keeping the tires nice and, I guess, low, or as much grip as possible, but we can't really control that. I mean, we can just, dealing with that, as well as saving fuel. And as you can see, right here is a big pivotal moment of the race. As you can see, Hoodcat and Turismo are closing in on us, as we've led every single lap of this race so far, and we are trying to save fuel as much as possible. And come to find out, at this point, Turismo decided to go on a one stop instead of the no stop, and that's why him and Hoodcat are reeling me in very fast. And as you can see, I'm trying to save fuel as much as possible because I was gonna barely not make it, so I had to save as much fuel as I could, but yet keep a decent pace as well. So a very good race to learn from with fuel management and tire management and so on and so forth. But on lap 23, we have led 23 laps. And actually, on this lap, you can see Turismo got in front of Sanders through that middle sector. So he's going to be up our rear end, so to speak, pretty much. And at this point, he's pushing a lot harder than I am. And I'm just hoping to God, pretty much, and praying to God that I'm able to bring this home, especially through this last corner. Turismo gains a humongous amount of time. And at this point, I was in a frenzy, and I was in my mind just not really keeping to my strategy, because as you can see, Turismo is practically pushing me through this corner. He's actually going to make a move on the inside. I'm going to let him go, and at this point I'm like, oh crap, I'm going to lose this because he's going to pull away and I don't have enough fuel. So looking back now, I shouldn't have put the fuel mixture back up into 1. As you can see right here, I'm going to throw that baby back up into 1 because I was starting to freak out, because I'm like, I'm going to lose this race because he's just going to pull away. But then come to find out, Turismo and Hoodcat did come in for a one stop to pit and get new tires and fuel. So from this point on, it was me against the world. I had a pretty decent lead out front, but we will get to that when that time comes. But yeah, as you see, just trying to be nice and easy, kind of losing a little time to Hoodcat behind as well as Turismo in front. And I should have just fuel saved more on this lap. Like I said, looking back now, it was a little mistake that I should have just kept to my strategy, had faith in my strategy, and so on and so forth. But as we come on to lap 25, it looks like the gap to Turismo extended a decent amount. And on this very lap, Turismo and Hoodcat are going to be coming in to the pits to get fresh tires and more fuel. So they have 5 laps. Math is hard for me. About 5 laps to catch me while I am fuel saving for my life and trying to hold onto these tires as much as I possibly can. Really feeling the pressure right here. And I was just hoping to God that the gap was too far or too much. As they come out of the pits, we are 13 and a bit seconds ahead of them. So right now, I'm just trying to be as consistent as possible and hope to God and pray to the Lord above that we are able to hold on to this lead, as that time will come down lap over lap after lap. As you can see, they are about just within that first lap of them coming out of the pits. They've already gained back about 2 seconds, if I can speak clearly. As we hop onto lap 28, yet again they're going to be gaining time hand over fist, and the gap is 7.8 seconds. And it's going to be so close, guys. When I say this is going to be a very close finish, I mean it's going to be a very close finish. And gosh, I was feeling the pressure right now because I was seeing that time go down. As we hop onto the end of lap 28, they are 3.5 seconds behind us, and they are pulling me in lap after lap, sector after sector, corner after corner. And I was just doing my damnedest just to be consistent and hold on to the lead. As we come to the end of lap 29, the second to last lap, they are within 1 second of us, of Turismo, or as of Turismo and Sanders, Hoodcat if you will. But as you can see, coming out of the final corner, we have 1.2 laps of fuel left in the tank, and Turismo is closing in faster than we would like, pretty much. But as we come on to the final lap of the race into turn 1, Turismo is about 8 tenths behind, and I have just enough fuel to get me there as I'm saving for my life. As we come into turn 2, Turismo kind of looked for a move on the inside, and he is 4/10 behind us, as he actually is on the outside, and we're going to go a little defensive and try to hold him off, and we were able to keep him at bay. But yet here comes Hoodcat in the rear, gaining time hand over fist as we go defensive into this corner as well, trying to keep the car in one piece, as well as in front of Trismo and Hoodcat. Coming down this back straight, looks like Trismo and Hoodcat may be fighting just a little bit, which is going to help us ever so slightly. But coming into this fast right-hander, my front left tire is going to give up, and here comes Hoodcat on the inside, and he just pretty much did the good old switcheroo with the tires and everything. But hopefully we are able to get back for another move. It looks like we have a potential look into turn, or the final corner, as we are all over the grass right here, trying to hold on to this win as much as possible. As we come into the final sector, we are 3/10 behind Hoodcat, and Trismo is 3/10 behind us, as we were possibly looking for a move, as we get the warning for the fuel, as we try to carry the speed as much as possible, going a little bit wide, get on the dirt just a little bit, and that's unfortunately going to cost us the win, and we just ran out of gas, as you can hear. But we had our first race win ripped away from us on the final lap. Gosh. But as we look at the race results, coming home in P2, had pole position, and I led every single lap except for 2. That was my race to lose, and I end up making the wrong strategy call. I should have pit, but coming home for our best result of the season so far. Really good stuff to take away from this race. I mean, yeah, I was on pole position, my first pole position, led most of the race. I just made the wrong call on the strategy, and yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it from that point of view. Definitely learned a lot through this race, as well as managing tires and fuel. But with that race result in the books, that is going to bump us up to P6 in the Drivers' Championship, and we were still within striking distance of Hoodcat and the first position in the Drivers' Championship. But man, what an awesome result for us. And yeah, I mean, an awesome weekend. I lost it on the last lap, and there's different things I could have done differently, but definitely a lot learned through that one race weekend. But I mean, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I know I did. That was my best race of the season. But there is more to come with about half of the season left. I'm gunning for that top position in the Drivers' Championship. I want it so bad. But on that note, guys, I hope you did enjoy watching. I know I enjoyed this race very much. And I will see you all in the next episode or video. Same thing.